Good morning. You need a hobby, man. You need multiple hobbies. Everybody needs it. You need something to occupy your mind that you find interesting, that also helps you learn things. And if you can get into anything that's a hobby that's also crafty, where you have to figure out how to make things and use your hands, that puts your mind in a place where you're learning how to learn and you're learning how to figure out things. And then on top of all that, there is this Zen sort of thing that you can put your mind into excuse me, while you're crafting something. I've got tons of hobbies. You guys know, you're here, you see it, right? I mean, just the van alone and the van life thing and everything that encompasses, and being outdoors, and I grew up doing all sorts of things, and the bicycle thing, and I mean the knife thing and the watch thing. Wrist check. I'm wearing the Seiko 5 Sports bottle cap today. I put it on the nylon NATO. I had it on that hemp one, and I'm gonna actually get a leather one soon. The hemp one was too loose, like when you try to turn the dial, which I fixed, by the way, the bezel, I lubed it, but when you were trying to turn that, it would bunch up the strap between the lugs. You need some rigidity there. So the hemp strap would work on a much lighter watch maybe. But anyhow, people who are not doing anything with their mind, they're not using their mind, they're not learning anything, you're just sitting around soaking in drivel, right, through media maybe, or dumb silly TV shows that are programming your mind with the latest nonsense that you're just accepting. That's what's making everything cuckoo right now. But it's the people who are sitting around, especially if you're like a political wonk and you're just sitting around watching all this stuff, whatever it is, that's what makes you crazy. Like these people that go nuts and get up on a rooftop and start shooting people, that's why. They let themselves get pushed to a point where they literally just go nuts. So that's one of the reasons why you need a hobby. All right. I mean, it's interesting because no matter what you get into, you can learn so much from it. Not just about, like, for instance, with the watch thing with me, I love that Willard style, that vintage Seiko diver. And then that takes you into the Vietnam War and all these other things. And then you get to learn about movements and when they came out and why. Right? It's the same thing with firearms. For me, personally, I like older firearms, right? I'm a 1911 guy. Right? I'm an M1 carbine guy. I like old firearms that they all still work just as good now. I'm not real big on all the new stuff. I don't know a lot about the new stuff. All right, but I know the history of the stuff that I'm into. And that's very cool to me. And it makes you a more knowledgeable person. And the more knowledgeable of a person you are, and the more things that you know about, the more interesting you are to other people as well. So if you meet new people, let's say you got a watch on, and somebody asks you, they notice it, they go, oh, that's cool, what is that? Well, now you can tell them something about it. And now you seem like an interesting person. I don't do it for that reason. I do it because my brain never stops working. Like, I've got to have something to occupy my mind, all right? Thank God. You guys should be all thanking the Lord that this guy right here has got a ton of hobbies. Because you don't know, I'm not the guy you want to go crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go crazy. But it's a thing. Like, and we're all nerds. We're all nerds about something. We're all nerds. So just nerd out on something. And if you're like a super nerd on particular subjects, it actually makes you kind of cool. The cool nerd. Hobbies make you a cool nerd. Anyhow, again, this is just another public service announcement. Get into something. Not all hobbies are expensive hobbies, right? Just start with going to yard sales, man. or swap meets. Swap meets are awesome because everything around you is kind of interesting. It's like going to a museum where you can actually pick up and handle things, and then you can buy it if you want it. Another great thing about hobbies is you learn, right? So I'm learning all stuff right now. Watches are a thing I'm really into. And so if I'm out and about and I go to a yard sale or something, I could pick up a watch. They might want a quarter for it, or they might want $5 for it, or $25 for it. Well, if I know enough, I might be picking up a watch that it could be worth several $100s or more. That's an interesting thing. Like I've always been into knives, had them my whole life. My dad gave me my first knife when I was in kindergarten, 5 years old, had a pocket knife. And with all the knife handling I've done, and my recent thing with the Bowie knives, I stumbled upon a Bowie knife that is 100% genuine World War II Case XX Bowie knife that I got for like $130, and that it's worth way more than that. So again, if I'm out and about, it's happened to me already before where I've picked up bayonets and things, and they don't know what they have. You don't want to educate them too much because it's your money, right? And I'm not necessarily always buying and selling, but that is another reason why hobbies and knowledge are hugely important, because you can hustle, right? If you know things, you can have a side hustle. I sell a lot of stuff. I buy and sell a lot of things. It's not my job, but I'm always going to make my money back on something. And 80-85% of the time, I'm going to make a profit easily, but I'm never losing money. And then aside from picking something up, buy low, sell high, aside from picking something up that's a stellar deal, if you don't pay a whole bunch of money for it, it's sitting there. You can always make money with it, but also it's barter items. So if you're hanging out with somebody, you got a friend and they've got something that you're digging on, and they don't care about it anymore. Maybe they don't want it. You could tell they're willing to let it go or sell it. You could say, well, I know you're into this. I happen to have one of these. What do you think? Boom, you do a trade. Both of you are happy. It's not about what the item is possibly worth monetarily necessarily, right? All that matters is that you're both happy. You made a good deal. It's capitalism, right? It's barterism. So there's a lot of positives to it. So, I'm always, it's interesting to me. The people who are the least interesting are the people that aren't doing anything. I mean, they're just sitting around eating food, watching silly, dumb television shows that are, again, putting dumb ideas into their heads, or, watching cable news all day, which is not the news. Most of it's misinformation. Denzel Washington does this quote, which is not his quote. He gets credit for it, but it's really a Mark Twain quote. Or no, it's a what is his name? It'll come to me. It's on the tip of my tongue. But he is a famous Will Rogers quote, I think it is, where it goes. I'm going to butcher this, but it goes something like, if you don't read the newspapers, you're uninformed. If you do read the newspapers, you're misinformed. Yeah. Boy, ain't that the truth. Ain't that the truth. So instead of just filling your head with nonsense and not knowing if what you're hearing is even the truth, why don't you go learn something? Why don't you pick something up? Get into something. I don't care what it is, man. I don't care what. Brass buckles. I like brass buckles. I learned a huge lesson on my last trip. I picked up a couple brass buckles there from a specific brass works company, and the castings are amazing. And I got them dirt cheap, like $5, $10. But I was looking at them, and I don't understand. They have weight to them. The castings are phenomenal. The subject matter is super cool. But I could see through the brass on some high points where it looked silvery or something. So that's more of a plating And which, if you go back and you look at the company, which I didn't do at the time, turns out it was like it's a pewter, and then they do a brass dip over it. You know, it's still worth more than what I paid for it, these couple buckles, but I learned something. Now I know I have to make sure, like the buckle I'm wearing now, that it actually has cast in it solid brass. Just a little bit of knowledge, right? So it's just little things. People ask me about the cap all the time in the videos. World War II copy, herringbone twill fabric, right? See that fabric? So you learn cool stuff, you learn things, you can get things at a deal, sell it for more money, use it for barter, learn some history, become a more interesting person, turn your friggin' brain on. You need a hobby. Get one now. Start it. For some of you, the hobby's becoming just watching my videos. Thanks for that. Have a great day. Be good to one another. I'll catch you guys in the next one.